Be talking about one of Grand Theft Auto Online's biggest issues and something that Rockstar seriously needs to consider tweaking in the next Grand Theft Auto Online update. So this was actually a really good article written on the website GTA5cheats.com. They've got some cool stuff on there. I'll leave a link to it in the description. Basically, what we're going to be talking about today is Grand Theft Auto Online's passive system and some of the tweaks it needs, and what I'm going to be talking to you guys about today, how it could make the system so much better. And in my opinion, this is the one thing that Rockstar needs to fix in the next Grand Theft Auto Online update, because it's been going on for a while now, and I think that it is a system that is good in theory, but there are just some parts that are really broken and need to be fixed. So obviously no game is perfect. There's always room for improvements in many regards and many aspects, and Grand Theft Auto Online not only has some issues with the game itself, but sometimes it is the players, and griefing is an extreme widespread phenomenon in Grand Theft Auto Online. So you guys have probably heard this, but if you don't know, griefing is basically where a player purposely screws with other players in the lobby, and doing so really doesn't yield a significant reward. This could be spawn killing or repeated unprovoked attacks or the destruction of CEO crates. Now, in pretty much any online game, there's always going to be griefing. You can't really fix that. I mean, griefing even happens in Minecraft, one of the most, very simple and friendly games really on the surface. It even happens in that game too. However, there are some mechanics in Grand Theft Auto Online that make griefing very easy. However, in some cases, it's exactly the mechanics of Grand Theft Auto Online's passive mode that can actually protect the players from griefers and are the ones catering to those offenders. So to give you guys a quick rundown of Grand Theft Auto Online's passive system, it essentially allows a player to enter a mode where they can't be harmed by other players, nor can they do any damage to other players. Now, when you're in passive mode, you can still partake in PvE, which is player versus enemy activities, and you can also kill pedestrians. Basically, the idea behind that system was whenever you wanted to just ignore other players or have other players ignore you, or didn't want to be bothered by anyone, you could turn on passive mode and you could be on your way. The thing is though, if you go into passive mode, likely players will just move on and find someone else to harass. Plus, there are certain situations like what happened in Further Adventures in Finance and Felony where the crate missions cannot be done in passive mode. And this is where passive mode also plays into the hands of many griefers. So the issue that I commonly see, and this isn't picking on any particular group or talking about any certain vehicle, but players will use a militarized vehicle. They will go after the player they want, and then as soon as they either see something going against them or it's time to move on, they'll go into passive mode. Once things settles down, they'll turn it off and they'll continue doing their thing, griefing other players. So basically, Grand Theft Auto Online's passive system needs to essentially be less useful for griefers, but more beneficial for the legitimate players of the game. And now we're going to be talking about a few suggestions and tweaks to the system that ultimately could be made. So one of the suggestions was actually turning on a timer, where when you're in passive mode, it can't be turned on for a while after every player kill you rack up. So if you kill someone, you won't be able to go into passive mode for, this example was 5 minutes. Now, a different suggestion essentially comes from the exact same concept, but it's kind of reversed and it's the other way around. So this is where if you leave passive mode and become active again, it would turn off your invincibility first without allowing you to deal damage for a while. This would prevent someone from just popping in and out of passive mode, shooting immediately, and then going right back into it. So this way, others can kill you, but you can't kill them. Now, even the article that I'm reading right now says this is the less appealing option, as while it's a good griefer deterrent, it makes the proper use of passive mode much more dangerous for a player. So now let's try to come up with an ideal method for the passive mode. So the site says possibly the ideal method would be taking the first idea further, and that is to make all acts of aggression disable passive mode temporarily. So in this regard, you wouldn't even need to kill the other player, simply dealing damage and the timer would start ticking. So what this would actually do is if griefers in Grand Theft Auto Online draw the ire to kill their victims, they would be prevented from escaping into passive mode without having to succeed in killing their intended targets, who would this way give them a chance to fight back instead of just seeing them run off into passive mode. Now, there have been other games that have done this in the past. One of them was Ubisoft's The Division. So in that game, if you killed another player, you would essentially get a target on your head that showed where you were on the map. Now, I know that's an extreme situation, but that would essentially prevent you from being able to kill someone and get away with it. And that, in my opinion, is the biggest issue in Grand Theft Auto Online, is that a lot of times you'll run into someone that wants to kill you over and over and over again, but as soon as you want to put up a fight and get back at them, they'll run off into passive mode and then go off doing their own thing, wait till either you've forgotten about them or just move on to another target, and then go out of passive mode. So I really like that system where it does indeed put a timer into going into passive mode if you have been killing a lot of players. Now, this could work both ways because we don't want to just punish people that are good at killing them. There should be some sort of bonus to this whole thing as well, maybe like a kill streak bonus. So you know how if you play TDM in Grand Theft Auto Online, if you get like 3 or 4 kills in a row, you'll get like 1.5 times damage or something like that. It essentially rewards you for getting kills over and over and over again. There should be something like that, but at the same rate, you should also have that timer that prevents you from escaping into passive mode, just like in The Division where it kind of notifies to other players where you are if you've killed multiple people. And the more people you kill, the more so your timer goes up, obviously putting you at a greater risk of being killed. So it's essentially a risk-reward situation, and that's what I think needs to happen to the passive system. If you want to go around killing players, that's cool, but there needs to be a risk-reward system to that as well, where you essentially would get a target on your back for being a player that's killing others. And I know to an extent, Rockstar has kind of done that with the like passive dot and the passive blips. White is a passive player. If it's more towards red, it means they're aggressive. But honestly, does anyone look at that nowadays? I mean, honestly, I'm not taking the time to look at like who's white on my minimap versus who's pink and who's red. So I don't think many people are doing that either. Now, one of the reasons I think this is so important for the upcoming Grand Theft Auto Online DLC, and even though it's unlikely that this is something that Rockstar will change and something that won't arrive in Grand Theft Auto Online Bikers, the reason I say this is important is because of what happened in Further Adventures in Finance and Felony. So there was 2 things in this. Obviously, number 1, you couldn't do them in passive mode. That's a given. But number 2, you also had to do them in public lobbies. Now, because of this, this really did open up the floodgates to griefers. I mean, there are some things that are just unavoidable. When you walk outside and someone's waiting for you in a Hydra, or someone's waiting for you in an armored insurgent just ready to shoot you and kill you. And that's just doing the missions themselves. When you do the selling portion of the CEO stuff, that's when the real griefers come out in full force with Hydras and, you know, buzzards and just all the military vehicles they can get their hands on trying to blow you up. And I think that was a big concern with the Finance and Felony stuff. And it's one of the reasons that I eventually stopped doing it so much. There was a couple other things. Obviously, we got Cunning Stunts that came out very quickly after that DLC. There was also like modders and glitchers going on that were trapping me inside my building. But that was a big part of it, is not having the guarantee of making money after doing so much work, which was kind of off-putting. And we know with the Bikers update, since we're going to be able to create a motorcycle gang and we're going to be able to have our own hideout of sort, I'm imagining it's going to work very similar to the CEO system, where as bikers, you'll be able to do missions that can earn you money. And if it happens to be in free mode and it happens to be in public lobbies, I think the same thing is going to happen. You're going to see a group of players that really want to try and do the missions, and then a group of players that just want to stop you at all costs, trying to grief you no matter what. And I know one of the obvious answers to this would just be to simply leave or find a new lobby, but if only that was so easy. You guys know with Grand Theft Auto Online, the servers are super wacky. Getting everyone back into another lobby takes time and just waste time that you have to do. Sometimes you can't leave a lobby, especially with the Finance and Felony stuff. Like if you got a special item, you couldn't just leave the lobby and get it again. Otherwise, it would be gone. So there are certain things where you can't just say leave and it'll go away. So I think that a tweak like this would be really cool for online. And I'd also love to hear from you guys as well in the comments section down below, because I know this is certainly going to be a hot topic of sort. How would you tweak Grand Theft Auto Online's passive mode to combat griefers and people that just want to troll others in Grand Theft Auto Online? I think Rockstar have made improvements with the system, but I think there's definitely some work that is still left to go. But as always, let me know, like I said, what you think in the comments section down below. If you did go on to enjoy the video, though, a like rating would, of course, be awesome. And also, subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new, or you like daily GTA 5 videos like this. With out of the way, guys, like I said,